Today we're going to talk about the Holy Spirit. And I don't want you guys to make the same mistake that I made, thinking that I can rank the three natures of God. God the Father, who is number one? I'm going to put him here. Jesus, the Son, I'm going to put him in second. The Holy Spirit, we'll put him in third. He kind of rounds out the picture. He doesn't really come into the equation very often. Let me tell you something. It is the Holy Spirit that's going to come into your hole. It's the Holy Spirit that's going to grab you by the scruff of the neck and lead you up out of the hole. The Holy Spirit is your best friend here on planet Earth. If you're not hip to the Holy Spirit, you better get hip, because the Holy Spirit is God. Jesus Christ is God. The Father is God. One's not more important than the other. They're all three God. That was the hardest thing I had to come to terms with. And it's so simple. But once I realized Jesus is God, everything changed. Everybody says, oh, he was a great teacher, he's a great man. Jesus was God. The Holy Spirit is going to lead you up out of your slavery. You are addicted, and you're a slave to your addiction. The Holy Spirit is going to pull you up out of that hole you're in, take you on an exodus away from it to the promised land, where you'll be able to be a capable parent, a loving spouse, a good child. It's so simple when you look at it through the right lens, the right perspective. So I've chosen Acts, the good old book of Acts. You know, sometimes it's called the gospel of the Holy Spirit. I'll tell you why. I'm going to use three stories from the book of Acts to tell you about the power of the Holy Spirit. In the second chapter of Acts, you get the Pentecost. That is, Jesus has already ascended into heaven. He's gone off the earth. He's up in heaven with the Father. Same thing. But here's the deal. The Holy Spirit descends on the apostles, gives them the ability to speak in any tongue to any person. That way, the Great Commission that was in Matthew, where Jesus, before he goes off, he says, go all over the world, make disciples of everybody. That's the order to Christians. That's the Great Commission, if you ever hear anybody talk about that. Guess what? I've got some good news for you. Here's a cell phone. We can do that today with a cell phone. I can sit in my living room and I can, figures to go off, I can call anywhere in the world. I can text, and my English language will be automatically, if I've got the right app, translated into their language. Just like the great miracle of the Holy Spirit, I can do that now with my cell phone. The second example, we go to Acts 14. This is the power of the Holy Spirit I want y'all to know about. Paul and Barnabas, they're going all through Western Turkey. They're going to different cities preaching about Jesus in the synagogues. They're not real hip about hearing about this guy that they're claiming is the Messiah. They're just not. So what happens? He's in Lystra, preaching in the synagogue to a bunch of people that don't really want to hear it. They said, don't preach here anymore. What you do, he preaches. Keeps preaching. They stone him. They think to death. They drag him out of the city gates, lay him on the ground for dead, leave him there. He gets up, comes to. Barnabas is like, what are we going to do now? Paul said, let's go back in there. Can you imagine what they were thinking when they saw Paul walk right back in and start preaching again? That's the power. You don't need muscles and leather and chains and tattoos and a big, scowl on your face. Nah, you just walk in there and that power hits everybody and it's like, whoo-wee. I don't know what this guy's on, but it must be something powerful. Third, we're going to go to chapter 16 in Acts. This is another example of the Holy Spirit and how it's not always what you think it is. He goes into Mysia. He's going to go to Mysia. He's going to hang a right, go east. That's all his homeland. It's going to be a wonderful homecoming. Go to all his familiar places. The Holy Spirit denies him entrance into Mysia. Says, nah, can't go in there today. He has a dream that night. An old man from, this is the part that's great, okay? There's an old man saying, hey, I need you to come up here to Macedonia. Well, here's the thing. Unless you know a little bit about world history, Macedonia is where Philip and the Macedonian army that took over the world, sure. Alexander the Great in Greece. But guess what? Alexander's dad was Philip of Macedonia. He's the one that perfected the phalanx, really laid the groundwork to take over the world. Have you heard that song, My Boss is the Son of the Boss? It's kind of the same deal. Macedonia ain't no joke. It's up north. It's a weird place. He doesn't know anything about it. Guess what? The Holy Spirit leads him up there. He goes in there, blows him away, and what's that do? Bam! Christianity, it explodes. It goes east to Russia, it goes west to Europe. Rome, Greece, they all get it. Not Asia Minor, not down south, but in Europe. Right as they're taking over the whole world, guess what? Jesus Christ pays them a visit in the form of Paul because of the Holy Spirit. That same Holy Spirit, that's the past, that's the present, that's the future, that's omniscient. That same Holy Spirit is the Holy Spirit that'll bring you up out of the darkness of your addiction. Take you up to the promised land of a free, clean life. I'm going to leave you today with this passage I read from a psalm. We're talking this probably written 700 years before the birth of Christ. The past, just like then, it's just as true today. People in this room could be saying this today. It goes like this. Lord, help! They cried in their trouble, and he saved them from their distress. He led them from the darkness and deepest gloom. He snapped their chains. That's what freedom's all about, baby. Having your chains snapped by a supernatural force that loves you and that is you. And it's everything. It's God. Quit playing these games with the satanic idiots of this world. Rise up and take hold of the power, the grace. It's there for you. It's a gift. All you have to do is accept it. It's so simple. See you next week, everybody.